Welcome to Cub Central's video chat. I'm Todd Johnson. I'm joined by one dog over there. That's Cleo. She's named after the Greek goddess of history, Cleo. And today's video chat is going to talk about the 2019 draft. A couple weeks ago, I wrote an article about how the Cubs might redraft some players, and I've been following them for the first couple weeks of the college baseball season. And there's some interesting results. Junior college started about a month ago, and they've got 4 weekends in now, and D1 baseball only has 2 weekends in. And so I want to talk about some of the players I mentioned in that article, as well as some other guys that might be worth watching over the next few months. The draft is set in June, right after I get done teaching. We're here in my lovely office with, there are actually 2 other dogs sleeping over there. There's Atticus and Zeus. So, all right. And this is the glorious office with all Cubs related, as you can tell. Let's talk about some players that were mentioned in the article. One guy that's really taken off this year, or is beginning to take off with a good start, is Ryan Kreidler. And he's a third baseman from UCLA, and he redid some of his swing over the offseason. And he looks to be a guy who could be a guy later this summer. And what I really like about him is he still has plenty of room to fill in. He is not a fully grown baseball player. He's about 6'4", 190, long and lean, you know, like the other third baseman the Cubs currently have. But he really hasn't begun to tap into his power yet. He struggled his first 2 years at UCLA and made some adjustments in his swing over the past year, and it's really begun to pay off for him. He's hitting 429 with a 500 on-base percentage after the first 2 weekends, which is a pretty good start because they've played some good teams like Georgia Tech. 2 other guys at UCLA are worth mentioning. One will definitely be available, or close to available, in the first round, and that is Chase Strumpf, and he plays second base. And he's about the same size as Nico Horner, about 6'1", 190. But he already has a much higher hitting profile than Nico does. And it'll be interesting to see how well he hits this year. Right now he's over 400, but, you know, it's 5 games. So try not to put too much stock in it. But he is an interesting follow. The guy I just have to follow is actually a guy the Cubs picked from Albuquerque, New Mexico. His name is Mitchell Parker, and part of me wants to call him Parker Mitchell, but I usually have to look it up to make sure that I'm getting it right. So Parker has had 4 starts for San Jacinto North Junior College in Texas, and he's off to an amazing start. He'll be draft eligible as a freshman this year, but he has to give the Cubs permission to select him. But right now he's got 20.1 innings in 4 starts. He struck out 36. 36! And not this Friday, but last week, 10 days ago, he struck out 14 guys in 6 innings. So he is off to a very impressive start, and he bodes well to watch. He's still got a lot of room to fill out. Like Kreidler, he's still 6'4", 190. Seems to be a common theme today. And I haven't read any reports about just exactly how he's throwing, and I haven't seen any videos. It's all scouting of the stat line, and sometimes that's not the best way to scout. Another guy who is off to a decent start is Darius Vines. Now, the Cubs selected him in 2017 and out of Oxnard in California as a junior college. and he was a two-way player. He played shortstop and he pitched. He went to a different junior college last year, and now is at Cal State Bakersfield. His first start, 6 innings, 3 runs, 6 Ks, 3 walks. And then the other night, he struck out 9 and only walked 2. So he's going to be an interesting watch. He's a very athletic kid. Was a 2-sport star in high school and first junior college he went to. He was a quarterback and a pitcher. So I really enjoy trying to see what he's up to. Another guy who's only made 1 start so far this year is Dante Biasi. In fact, he's probably pitching as we speak right now for Penn State. He threw 4 innings, struck out 2, didn't allow a run. So he was a kid that the Cubs drafted out of Hazleton, Pennsylvania, same town as Joe Madden. And I'm interested to see just exactly how he develops over the year. And he's a redshirt sophomore, so he is draft eligible. 2 guys that I did mention in a previous draft article that might be worth watching are actually beginning to light it up. One is pitcher Seth Johnson, who is a converted infielder, and he plays for Campbell University. And his teammate Michael Barefoot, who I mentioned as a guy who could really come along later. He's not the greatest athlete at all, but he can hit. Right now he's hitting, Barefoot's hitting .318 with a .442 on-base percentage. He throws from the left side too, and not a very good pitcher. But as far as he's athletic, but he's not very athletic. So he could probably profiles as a guy who could play some left field, and if worse comes to worse, he could play first base. But he's a guy who was one of the Cape Cod League Players of the Year last summer, and he should be one that we continue to watch this spring. Another guy I want to see blossom a bit is Drew Mendoza. He's a junior at Florida State, and he has a lot of tools in his toolbox. He just hasn't put them together yet. This spring, he's hitting in the 250s for Florida State, but his OBP is well over 400. So he's showing a good approach. It's just when he puts the ball on the bat, it's just not sticking for him. Another guy who I kind of thought might be in the range for Cubs hasn't turned it on yet, and that's Matt Wallner from Southern Miss. And Josh Stowers, I think, is from Stanford, teammate of Nico Horner, and he has not begun to hit yet either. But there was one interesting thing that happened last weekend, and that Michael Bush has been playing the outfield for North Carolina. He's a guy that the Cubs could select. He's played mostly first base, but he's not a good first baseman. But he can mash the baseball. And if he has any kind of good, decent year, he's going to be like in the low 20s. So I don't know if I should spend my time on him or not. Looking at the draft so far, it's going to be interesting to see just exactly how it's going to break down, who rises and then who falls throughout the course of the year. Next week, I'm going to come back, but I'm going to write an article. It could be one of 2 articles. It could be on one of 2 legacy guys. One is a shortstop who I think I heard is going to play some outfield in center this year, and that's Glenn Allen Hill Jr. He has a much different game than his father. He's more of a speed guy and putting the bat on the ball. He's not a power guy whatsoever. And the second legacy pick is Gray Kessinger, who is walking a lot for Mississippi, but not hitting a lot. He's actually a pretty good sized shortstop at 6'2", 6'3", and he could be a guy worth watching. I've seen him as high as the 60s on most draft boards, and then on other draft boards, he's not even in the top 100 or 200. So we'll keep an eye on him. And one other guy I wanted to watch is Brendan Heiss from Jacobs High School in the Chicago area. His first start, not so good. And he gave up 5 walks in 3 innings. And then his second start, he also gave up 5 walks, but over 4 innings. But then again, he struck out 7 guys in his second start. So it's going to take him a little while to adjust to the level of Division I after playing at a junior college, John A. Logan, in Southern Illinois, after transferring from Arkansas. So I'll talk to you next week, but I think it's going to be in print form unless something else happens on the draft front. But one guy to keep an eye on once the high school starts playing is Matthew Lugo, who goes to the Carlos Beltran Baseball Academy in Puerto Rico. He's a guy I really like. So that's my guy for right now. All right, I'll talk to you later. Have a good day.